I get it, you scroll through endless listings of PTZ cameras, all flashing 4K specs and AI tracking buzzwords, and you're left wondering whether any of them actually hold up when you point them at a live stream, a classroom, or a small-scale production. I've been there, clicking Add to Cart on a glossy photo only to discover the camera is a nightmare to set up. The autofocus never locks on a presenter, and the low-light footage looks like a grainy mess. That hesitation is real, and today's review is all about sparing you that disappointment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Tenveo 4K PTZ camera bundle ships as a complete kit: 3 12 optical zoom NDI cameras, a 5-inch joystick controller, a 4K HDMI/SDI switcher, and an 8-port PoE power hub. At first glance, it reads like a turnkey solution for anyone who wants to step up from a static webcam to a multi-camera live production setup without hiring a tech crew. But does it really deliver on that promise? Let's break it down the way a real-world user would think about it. First, who actually benefits from a 3-camera PTZ kit? If you run a community church, a small corporate training room, or a YouTube channel that does weekly interviews with guests in different parts of a studio, the ability to switch between angles without moving a single piece of hardware is a huge time saver. The included joystick lets you pan, tilt, and zoom each unit from a single screen, which means you can follow a speaker walking across a stage or zoom in on a product demo with a simple push. For a hobbyist who just wants a single 4K webcam, this bundle is overkill. You'll be paying for 2 extra cameras you'll never use. Ease of use is where the Tenveo system shines and where it trips up. Plug the 3 cameras into the PoE switch, hook the switcher into your streaming computer via HDMI, and you're technically ready to broadcast. The NDI support means you can also send video over the network to a separate production PC, which is great for a split production workflow. However, the initial menu navigation can feel a bit dated. The on-camera interface is minimalist, just a few icons for zoom level, focus mode, and exposure, so you'll spend a few minutes hunting the right setting before you're comfortable. Once you get past that learning curve, the autofocus is surprisingly reliable. In my tests, the IBIS body detection locked onto a presenter's face within 2 seconds, even as they moved from a desk to a standing position. It didn't chase every passing hand, which is a common complaint with cheaper AI PTZ units that treat any motion as a target. Low-light performance is another practical concern. The cameras use a 1/2.8-inch sensor with a native ISO range up to 12,800. In a dimly lit conference room with a soft overhead panel, the footage stayed clean enough for a live stream, though you could see a slight softening of fine detail when pushing past ISO 8000. If you plan to shoot in a theater or a club where lighting is purposefully dramatic, you'll still need a supplemental key light to avoid that noise ceiling. On the plus side, the 12 optical zoom works well in well-lit environments. You can pull back to capture the whole room and then zoom in on a speaker without losing the 4K crispness. Stabilization isn't a primary selling point for PTZ cameras because they're mounted on a tripod or ceiling bracket, but the motorized pan-tilt unit is smooth enough that rapid movements don't produce jitter. I tried a quick follow-fiction scenario where a presenter paced back and forth. The camera kept up without any noticeable lag, thanks to the 30 frames per second internal processing. That said, the system isn't designed for high-speed sports or fast-moving product demos where you'd need a dedicated gimbal. One of the biggest advantages of buying a bundle like this is the unified ecosystem. All 3 cameras share the same firmware version, and the switcher can take inputs from any of them without you having to reconfigure the video format. You won't find a massive lens marketplace for these units. They come with a fixed 12 zoom lens, and swapping lenses isn't an option. If you need a wider field of view, you'll have to physically reposition the camera or accept the built-in 70-degree diagonal at the wide end. For most indoor talkshouse setups, that field of view is sufficient. Battery confidence isn't relevant here because the cameras draw power via PoE, which is actually a strong point. A single 8-port PoE switch supplies up to 30 W per port, more than enough to keep the cameras running continuously for hours without worrying about dead batteries. Just make sure your network switch can handle the bandwidth. Each 4K NDI stream can chew up around 100 megabits per second, so an 8-port gigabit switch is the minimum you'll want. Now let's talk value. The Tenveo kit is priced in the mid-4-figure range, which sounds steep until you break down the components. A comparable 4K PTZ camera from a major brand can cost $1,200 each,